It's the same hustle, it's the same thing, the same tears on everything. Maybe one day we'll see we're one big family, like it's one kettle. It's the same sunshine, it's the same rain, the same struggle just to maintain. Maybe one day we'll see we're one big family, like it's one kettle. Yeah. Somebody found working fingers to the bone.
Greetings, and welcome to An American Deception, revealing America's dark-skinned past. I'm your host, Tavis Sanders. I'd like to welcome our co-host, Renee Sanders.
Greetings.
So today we wanted to give you an overview of Indeed, a nonprofit organization established to educate the public of the omitted history of the dark-skinned indigenous peoples of the southeastern United States. As a part of Indeed's mission, we've created An American Deception. An American Deception was built to educate the public. And so let's talk about some of the services that we offer through Indeed.
Okay, one of the things that we offer are educational presentations. These educational presentations are, again, to inform the public about the dark-skinned indigenous people of southeastern United States. First one is called the Mound Builders. And the Mound Builders is explaining about the people that were here before the Europeans arrived, the different types of mounds that they built, which were conical mounds, platform mounds, and the effigy mounds, which were the mounds that were in the shapes of animals or some kind of a religious symbol or figure.
I know they also called them dirt pyramids.
Some of the mounds were called dirt pyramids because some of them have flat sides. And the ones that are flat-sided, they do call them pyramids. They're four-sided, and there's also some five-sided ones. But most of them, really, they look like mountains or hills.
Okay.
And those were mounds, and as a matter of fact, when Europeans arrived here, they really didn't realize that they were built by the indigenous people here. So many of them were destroyed. And this is one of the things that we discuss in the Mound Builders.
Okay, I know that you said we have a few educational presentations. I know one of them is called The Native American Slave Trade, Who Were the Real Slaves? Can you give us a little bit of information about that?
Yes, the Native American slave trade is something that they really leave out of the history books, where they don't discuss how the indigenous people here in the United States were used as slaves. As a matter of fact, they were the first slaves here in the United States. And the African slave trade was really built on top of the Native American slave trade. So this is one of the things that we discuss in that, who were the real slaves, because once you really delve into that, you would really find out that many of those dark-skinned people that were enslaved, many of them were the indigenous native people of the United States.
All right. And I know we have one more educational presentation entitled Brown, Black, and White, Race and Native Americans. Could you just give me a brief overview?
Yes, that one is really talking about the race laws that were here in the United States, and it is showing how laws were used against the indigenous people to turn them into something that they were not. So it turned the indigenous people into Negroes. Negroes became equivalent to slave. Slave became equivalent to African, which now made all the indigenous people now Africans. And many of them now are calling themselves African Americans, but they're really indigenous to the United States.
And so you're talking about the black population also. That's another term that we use to identify ourselves.
Yes, that's correct, yes.
So we offer educational presentations, and those are the titles of the three. We offer them in various ways. We have the presentations that we actually do inside of schools, libraries, and museums. And we also have a documentary series that we offer the programs through.
Okay, along with the presentations and the DVDs that we do offer about those presentations, we also have what we call community beautification that we do here in the city of Philadelphia. We feel that it is important to give back to the communities, and it is important for us to show that example to the neighborhoods also, so that hopefully they will join us in beautifying and keeping our neighborhoods clean and keeping them proud of where they live.
Yeah, and just to touch on that subject, I know when we do go out and do the cleanups, we have a lot of elders and actually a lot of the young children. They come and participate when we're doing them on their blocks or in the park near their home. And it really does seem to put a sense of pride in something that they've done to accomplish in their neighborhood.
Yes, and we don't even have to ask them to come out. We don't even solicit. We just go there and we start cleaning up, and the people see that, and they come out and join us.
Okay. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. So I know we have a short version of our educational documentary, The Mound Builders. I'd like for them to take a look at that, and we'll be right back.
Greetings, I'm your host Red Tail. Welcome to an introduction to The Mound Builders, the first in a 4-part series entitled An American Deception. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Brown-skinned people, from very light to the darkest of dark, have existed in the Americas continuously for many thousands of years. Writer Jack Forbes, in his book Africans and Native Americans, said, "Many, but not all, Native Americans were brown or dark-colored without African ancestry. These brown-skinned people lived here long before the dawn of European civilization and the arrival of the European settlers. When the Europeans arrived to the shores of the United States, they encountered a culture of people that became known as the Mound Builders. Mound Builder is a general term referring to the indigenous inhabitants of North America who built various styles of earthen mounds for burial, residential, and ceremonial purposes. Here you see a sampling of mound sites that have been discovered in the United States. These mounds are primarily visible from the Mississippi River to the Appalachian Mountains, from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico. Most are located along rivers and streams which the Native Americans used for provisions. The most modern Native American cultures have been divided into 3 eras. The Archaic era, from 8000 BCE, or before the Christian era, to 1000 BCE. The Woodland era, from 1000 BCE to 1000 CE, or the Christian era. And the Mississippian era, from the years 1000 to 1700. And there is evidence of mound builders in all 3 eras. The mound builders have been attributed to building 4 basic types of mounds. The most common mounds are the conical mounds. Conical mounds are mounds that are cone or oval shaped. Many of these types of mounds were for burial purposes. Burial mounds ranged in height from 3 feet to 25 feet, and the remains were probably of someone of importance in the society. Conical mounds that weren't burial mounds can have heights up to 70 feet. The second type of mound is the earthen mound or earthen lodge. This type of mound usually had a fire pit in the center and was used for important meetings amongst the chiefs. The Europeans, after their arrival, utilized these mounds by turning them into their military forts, amongst other things. The third type of mounds are effigy mounds. Effigy mounds are mounds that are in the shape of animals, symbols, religious, or human figures. These mounds may have served as territorial markers or enhanced sacred ceremonial ground where people met for major events. Modern Native American shaman or spiritual healers suggest that the effigy mounds enhanced the power for healing and communication with the ancestor spirits. The last type of mound is the platform mound. Platform mounds, or temple mounds, are flat-topped mounds which were used to house temples for the leaders, for ceremonial purposes, sometimes for residences, and sometimes for survival needs such as observing up and down the waterways for unwanted visitors.
Welcome back. Even here in Philadelphia, there are remnants of these great and ancient structures. I stand now at the steps of Philadelphia's famous landmark, the Philadelphia Museum of Art. But did you also know that this historic location, which the museum now occupies, was once called Fairmont by the colonial settlers? Up until the time of colonial settlement, this land belonged to the indigenous Americans. And if the mound would have remained undisturbed, it would have been classified as a platform mound today. In 1812, an engine house was built at the bottom of Fairmont to pump water from the Schuylkill River to the top. This later became known as the Fairmont Waterworks. In 1919, the mound began its most recent transformation into what is now known as the Philadelphia Museum of Art. You have just finished watching the first in the 4-part series entitled An American Deception. For more information, please email us at anamericandeception@gmail.com.
And hear as much.
Yes, exactly. And when people can when people can connect those dots to a history, to a real history that that doesn't stop at 1860. Mm-hmm. You know, you have a history that connects people to this landmass for thousands of years. Yes, exactly. You know, they will begin to take more pride in this land because now they know where their roots are, that their roots haven't been taken away from them, that they were stolen from them, but now they can reclaim them again. Mm-hmm. And that's why we think this is important for this information to come out.
Right. And, you know, we just like to identify also that, you know, a lot of information that you'll be getting from us, you'll also be able to find them. You know, we want to make sure that we're not just giving you information, but we're giving you factual information. You know, I know that Napoleon stated that history was a myth that men tend to agree upon. And I really don't like that. I don't like that history is a myth that is created by the writer.
Yes, history, one of the definitions of history is that it defines who you are and why you are the way you are. Mm-hmm. So if you don't know your history, you cannot truly know who you really are.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I totally agree with you. But, you know, let's talk about that point for a moment because I know in a lot of magazines, I know on some television programs,
wait on the block, AKs on the block, might spray on the block, y'all. Somebody found still on welfare, oh yeah. Somebody on the grind for daycare, oh yeah. If you got thugging in your family tree, then somebody out there kidding me. Everybody say it's the same hustle, same thing, same tears on them, so we pay. Maybe one day we'll see we're one big family, like it's one at all. Same sunshine, same rain. Just to maintain. Maybe one day we will see we're one big family, like it's one family. Yeah. Somebody found got a Benz on 10s. Somebody push a bucket with a car full of friends. Somebody found locked up, trying to get blamed up, trying to flip green up, couldn't give the street up, y'all. Somebody found pray for better days, 'cause somebody